Hey, good morning, guys. This is your week 4 update. This will be a short video, so it'll counterbalance last week's one that was a little longer. So I hope you guys enjoyed last night's class. I laughed afterwards because there was sort of this idea of outcome expectations, right? I told you guys beforehand in the video that this is the class that a lot of people get stressed out in, and I think I might have created stress by doing that. Which is an interesting lesson on teaching, because probably next year I will not tell people that that's what happens. Seems like by creating the expectation that, hey, this is going to be a stressful experience, people come in with more anxiety. So lesson learned for me that I wanted to pass on to you as you think about your own teaching and organization of a class. Okay, this is a short video. We ran out of time yesterday. So I basically want to go over questions that Houston had when we lost everyone, and then talk about things we didn't get to cover because we ran out of time. So really quickly, there were a few other questions about grading. So let's jump into that really quick. I'm going to pull up the rubric just to finish those questions. So here we go. Here's the rubric, right, that you guys are using. All right, so basically, Kathleen and I were chatting afterwards. As you recall, Kathleen said, I'm a slow reader, and I'm afraid that this is going to take a lot of time. And that's a valid concern. What you want to do is use the rubric. And that's the beauty of this. So let me emphasize, grade with the rubric. Don't just go in and read the article or read everything that they said in detail. If you just start reading it and try to process and understand everything that they're saying in the way that they write it, it's going to take a little too long. Instead, use the rubric. Treat this as you would a reading comprehension exercise. So, for example, you know that under the describe the study, the objectives of the study, and the overall methods, that these are the points you're looking for. And so, did they state the objectives of the study and the overall methods on their own words? Check. Did they state the objectives, study questions, and hypothesis? Check. Did they do the design, including the study sample? Maybe not, so we won't check that. Did they say where and how it was recruited? Check, check. Maybe they forgot to mention the data collection instrument, etc. You get the idea. And then you get a sense of, all right, if they hit all of these marks, then maybe I give them an excellent. If they hit the majority of them, but maybe 2 or 3 were missing, I give them a good. If they're missing quite a few, I give them a fair, and if a lot are missing, or if they're just really off base, I give it unacceptable, right? That's sort of how I would grade these. Michael asked last night about half points, and I believe I gave y'all a misleading statement that afterwards I went back and looked at this rubric and realized I was a little misleading. Because in my class, I'll give you guys half points. However, for this assignment, they're not doing half points. If you look, students can earn 0, 1, 2, or 3 points. Excuse me, sorry. Students can earn 0, 1, 2, or 3 points, no half points. So that's a clarification for Michael's question from last night. There was a question also from Sarah about APA. And so APA keeps coming up as a source of confusion. Basically, students have to use APA for writing their intervention papers. There shouldn't really be APA here because we're just doing a critique of one article. Lots of times the 1111 instructors will ask students to put the APA citation of the article at the top. If they do that, you check it just to make sure it's in APA format. But if you look at the rubric, there's actually no place to critique them or take off for APA, so you're not worried about that. APA really comes into place for them in terms of their intervention paper, which you guys are not grading, so don't worry about that part. One of the things that are interesting here are these 2 points, appropriateness of the article and good presentation. So basically, what would appropriate and inappropriate article look like, right? So if for this one, it's pretty easy. We told them to pick the health relief model. But for the other 3 papers, they're going to pick their own paper to critique. And so if they pick For example, if it's on social cognitive theory and they pick something on theory of planned behavior, or something that doesn't clearly define the social cognitive theory construct, or is not related to health promotion, that would not be appropriate. If it's about social cognitive theory and it's about behavioral sciences and a public health issue, then it's appropriate. So that kind of frames it there. Encourage students, if they have questions, to come see you first. And you can just give it a quick skim and say, yeah, that looks fine or not. In terms of good presentation and grammar, you'll see it's sort of a yes or no. That feels really harsh to take off a full 5 points if they have grammatical mistakes. And so that's something that I might not deduct the full 5 points for. If they had some grammatical and spelling mistakes, I might just make a note here that there were a few errors and you took off a point or 2 points, whatever, so that they don't lose the full 5 on that. Okay, I hope that helps with the rubric. Down here is the place where you're writing your 2 to 3 comments. You could do it here or you could do it at the top of the paper itself, but this is a nice summary place where you write those bullets. Like Wes said, it is a nice idea to point out at least one thing they did right. So lots of times with giving feedback, we use what's called the sandwich method. And we ran out of time last night, I didn't talk about it. But the sandwich method, a lot of you guys have probably heard of it. The way that works is you essentially say something nice, that they did well, and then you say, and some area for growth and improvement include these areas, and then you reinforce what they're doing well, and you frame it, your feedback, and say, so, you really are doing a good job here. We want you to work on this, and if you work on this, then this good job that you're doing here is going to become even better in this way. So you kind of sandwich, if you will, the negative critique with something a little more positive, but all of it needs to be constructive. Like we said last night, just writing nice job is helpful. Okay. The other questions that came up is, what do we do with these things when we're done? And so let's scroll down here because we were running out of time last night. And so Claire is managing the grades for the regional campus. Sharon is managing grades for Houston. I should say Sharon, not Shannon. And so you will actually email the final paper and the critiques to them along with a Excel spreadsheet. And let me show you that Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to move this back out of the way for a minute. If you go back into modules, and you scroll down to week 4, where is it? I'm going to pause the video and find that for you. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So I found it for you. So under week 2, under problem-based learning, there, if you scroll down, there is an Excel document. This Excel document is called the PH 1111 PBL Grading Rubric. And if you open that, it's going to look something like this. And this is an Excel document that we put together for you guys. So you'll see that all the worksheets are linked. So you only want to enter the information in the white boxes using the following rubric. So preparation, attendance, interpersonal. So you're going to put all of that there. And then for the week of PBL, you're going to actually be marking, were they there, did they attend, etc. And then you've got, it's going to link up here on their participation grade, because you will be giving them a participation grade at the end. And then the article critiques go here. And so what does this look like? Let's make this in practice. All right, so we're going to have Mike, we're going to have Paul, and Sylvia, just for an example, okay? And so now you're going to see Mike, Paul, and Sylvia just populated in columns 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to see participation grades. We have Mike, Paul, and Sylvia. And you have a place to enter in their points there. And then we have, so you assign the points here and you write any comments you want there. And then for the article critique, you would enter in their points earned right here from your rubric. And so when you email your stuff to Claire and Sharon, you're actually going to fill in these point distributions from your rubric. And so you'll email them this table along with the rubric and the actual paper, all right? And that way Sharon and Claire have a file of all the documents for 1111. Do not give the students in the class their papers or their grade until Sharon and Claire tell you to do so. That's going to be very important because Sharon and Claire are then going to align and compare the grades across graders and make sure that everything is equitable. Okay, so I hope that tells you how to grade, clarifies that issue. A couple of other questions that came up. One question unrelated to grading for the master's students was from Angela. She said, after this assignment, if we want to give additional feedback about beyond the master's level rubric to our peers who we just graded, if we want to give them extra feedback about their clarity of their writing, maybe their use of grammar or spelling or the use of topic sentences, whatever, right? Whatever it is kind of feedback you want to give them, just to make so they have a stronger document to submit to Sylvia and I. Is that appropriate to do here? My answer is sure, go ahead. Absolutely. Feel free to do that in the track changes document if you'd like to. It's not a requirement for this assignment because we just did a last night in-class activity, so I don't want to make you do double work. But if you and the person whom you are swapping with say, hey, let's do that for each other, knock yourself out. Just use it in track changes, and that'll be a useful way for me to see that now you're incorporating the feedback. Okay, I hope that helped clarify the questions that we had last night and put everyone else at ease. Let's look ahead really quick. So I want to make sure you're aware of a few announcements. Next week we are doing group facilitation and classroom assessment techniques, and within that we sneak in, I mentioned with Stephanie that we're going to sneak in a little bit of stuff on how to deal with problem students next week and the week after that. We'll do that within the group facilitation process. So that'll be sort of a I'll give you an example of how I sort of try to combine two topic areas at once, and it seems to work pretty well. So you'll see that next week. Commenting on Stephanie really quick. So Stephanie, I really appreciated her vulnerability last night, her willingness to talk about her frustration and what happened in her class. I will tell you that all of us have bad classes sometimes, and it is incredibly frustrating and disappointing when that happens. What you try to do is you try to step back and you evaluate it afterwards. Debriefing with a colleague like what we did last night can be helpful. Teaching is, by definition, I think, incredibly personal. It's something that you tend to care a lot about, or hopefully you care a lot about. I want you to care a lot about it. I do. And so sometimes you do have to kind of pick yourself back up after something goes wrong. So thank you, Stephanie, for your vulnerability. As other issues come up, we'll probably be discussing those more on Blackboard or Canvas rather than in class, unless a major issue comes up, and then we will take time in class to discuss it. But thanks again for that, and I hope the comments are helpful. Let's continue those dialogues on Canvas with each other. Approaching due dates, so just to make sure you're aware, things are going to start picking up in this class. We're going to start having a lot of assignments come due, so stay on top of it, all right? So you're going to have the PBL Canvas discussion this week. There's the flipped class material that I'm going to encourage you to review, the video and stuff that I made online. And then the article critiques for your class are due on Sunday. I noticed there's an issue in Canvas with the due dates. I apologize. I understand now why some of you were confused. It won't let me reopen that date, so I'm probably going to have to just create a new Health Relief Model article critique due date. So it'll be on a different line, but I'll figure that. We'll figure that out today, and I'll send you guys an email update on how that happens. On October 7th, your grades are going to be due to the Sharon and Claire. And then on October 6th, in 2 weeks, you're going to have a reflective summary. Your social cognitive theory paper will be due. And if you're in week 8, your group lesson plan and article critique will be due. So just looking ahead, start planning for all of that. All right, that's all I got, guys. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on campus. Take care.